Hello, I'm Krista Hauk, Realty Specialist with Lands and Minerals. I am presenting Section 4 of the training. This section covers funding restrictions. In this section, we will discuss state and federal funding reviews, what to expect, additional information that may be needed, exceptions, and state land to avoid. State and federal funding reviews. State funding in the form of grants for land acquisition and habitat development can place land use restrictions on DNR land, which could change the project plans. Federal funding, for uses similar to state, often requires the DNR to submit an application to use DNR land for a non-conservation use. Please note, DNR land crossings are always reviewed for state and federal funding. Funding review is not necessary for water crossings. What to expect. Funding restrictions can delay DNR's ability to grant permissions for certain non-conservation transactions, including utility licenses, for up to a year or more. DNR has staff who are specialists in federal funding. They prepare the applications requesting the federal funding agency to remove the funding restrictions from parcels needed for non-conservation uses. It is mainly an invisible process for the utility license applicant. Additional information may be needed. You may be asked to provide alternatives using the state conservation land for a utility project and how each of the alternative remedies were considered and then rejected or deemed not to be a workable or viable course of action. Also, cultural or heritage resource review documentation, including any previous correspondence with the State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, or Cultural Resource Surveys previously completed, as well as endangered species review or correspondence with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service regarding endangered species. Exceptions. For some funding programs, there are exceptions based on pre-existing land use. For example, there may be evidence of road or access drive existence prior to state ownership. For some funding programs, this can trigger an exception to the funding review. State land to avoid. State parks. There are a lot of federal funds put into the development of state parks. They should be avoided as routes for utilities if at all possible. The applicant will need to show there is no alternative to use the state park land. Scientific and natural areas. These are areas set aside for conservation because they contain some of the rarest and most endangered plant and animal species. There is a high bar for any non-conservation use of these lands.